Hello everyone, it's Brian, and welcome back to Twilight Struggle, Play the Expert, where I play the expert and you wonder if I can survive until turn 10. Last time we had a real dilemma with a grain sales, and we decided to give up a horrible domination in Central America so that we could keep Africa on the road to domination. We did eventually successfully dominate that in the next turn. However, we did so at the price of having to give back the China card and lose the Formosan resolution in a series of things. We did, even though Europe scored, manage to claw back some points. And then we got rid of Lone Gunman and some other bad stuff on the final JFK play by the opponent. And so that brings us to turn 7. To see what we're gonna do next. Now, we've got these cards, and we also know what he's got. So here's a quick review of his hand. We're gonna be looking at a brush war somewhere, and I'm guessing Panama, maybe Thailand. There's only so much we can do about it. It's just gonna be he's gonna get to reach out and have a really good chance of just popping us right in the battleground there. So we just gotta be ready for that. We can assume he will space either Usuri River Skirmish or John Paul II elected Pope. He'll probably let us have a run at our man in Tehran is my guess. And OAS founded, well, he'll probably, he could try to hold on to that, but maybe he'll hold on to whichever of the Pope and Usuri he doesn't do so, and just play OAS now that the Americas have kind of settled out a little bit more. But we'll see. So those are the things that he has got in store for us. Meanwhile, we have got some interesting choices, because there's actually several of these headlines that are what you'd call classic United States player headlines in this, including in this sort of situation. So one, we've got Duck and Cover, which would let us deny him a battleground coup we take it to DEFCON 2. And we would get 3 all-important victory points. And that certainly is tempting and interesting and exciting. There is nuclear subs, which would allow us to coup without fear of nuclear war for the rest of the turn. Now, we could only do it in, Africa, South America, and Central America, and I'm not sure how appropriate our hand is for a whole bunch of coups in those places at this point, particularly because the easiest places in Africa we already currently own. Then there's Junta, which is another chance to steal a coup from him. And we could, for example, pop 2 points into, let's call it Argentina, and then coup it. Or we could do the same thing with Mexico if we were worried about him brush warring Panama. So those are, and then there's another good card. There's Bear Trap, which would make him spend his first action round and maybe more action rounds discarding a card, and in other words, we could get the battleground coup if we so desired. But it really seems a little bit lose to me here, because if I do the Bear Trap, I can either fix Thailand or I can steal the coup from him, right? I don't have a card that both reinforces Thailand and does that. Now, I could get lucky and he could fail the Bear Trap, his first roll, and then I could get 2 rolls and everything would be fine. But I don't feel good counting on that. And meanwhile, the Bear Trap has the downside that it's going to let him off the hook on some of his bad cards. We know he's got some bad cards, and he's got more bad cards than he can space. And we're pretty sure he has more bad cards than he can space and hold even. So he's going to have to play some bad cards cards that we like, good cards for us, bad cards for him. And if I play the bear trap, I'm kind of giving him a free get out of Pope free card, which I don't really want to do. Bear trap might actually be a good end, either a save till next turn headline or even a play it at the end of the round as a kind of pre-headline for next turn card. And the thing is, even if I saved Thailand, I still get to eat a brush war. And obviously the Thailand odds, he'd have a 50-50 chance, whereas in Panama, if I don't have time to plunk extra guys into Costa Rica, then he would have a 2/3 chance. But on the other hand, Thailand is phenomenally more valuable than Panama in sort of general terms, because flipping Asia is a bigger battleground, a bigger region to flip domination of. And well, I guess we've already scored Southeast Asia, so that's not a thing. But it's still somewhat more valuable. So I could easily see him brush warring there. He's going to brush war one of them. So I'm having a hard, all the options feel lose. Nuclear subs I could coup in a bunch of places I don't actually want to coup, and I couldn't steal the coup from him. It would probably even delay his coup until later. Either duck and cover or junta, I can steal the coup and lose Thailand. Bear trap, I could save Thailand and lose the coup. So yuck is what I say. And so what I've decided to go with is, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. And I'm just throwing up my hands and playing duck and cover because it gives me 3 points in the process of otherwise being owned by a very well-timed decolonization headline. And I'll make a note to myself, I just need to double over-control Thailand more often. Single over-control just doesn't seem to be enough. So let's look at what happens. Duck and cover headline. Get the DEFCON to 2. Get the 3 points. Here comes decolonization. Into Thailand. Even some extra Indonesia action. The rest into Africa. And, of course, he comes over the top with the China card. And we are Siamese if you don't please. So there you have the situation at the end of action round 1, Soviets. Now, rest of our cards. Destalinization is a fantastic space candidate. Apparently, we're going to have to sing a little ode to destalinization because it's apparently never going to happen this game. We have successfully gotten rid of destalinization forever. Cambridge 5 is not going to do anything important because we don't have a scoring card. It's a free play. Portuguese Empire crumbles. We'll probably have to play those points right into Angola just to defuse it, but otherwise it's not a huge deal. Salt negotiations, very powerful card, lets us get back, we could get back Green Sails or Voice of America or something awesome. Right now is a slightly awkward time to hold it because there aren't any good cards in the discard pile yet. And so that is a little bit too bad on that count. That may be my hold card till next turn. Just kind of wait till something really good, if he has to discard some cool card we get, or the Korean Super Cruncher card. We might get those back. So anyway, that is where we stand at the beginning of action round 1 of turn 7. And we have to decide what we're gonna do next. I guess Cambridge 5 is free influence. I've got some cleanup to do here because I need to deny him domination of Asia. So I have to get back on top in country count, and I'm doing it with over control so he can't just flip it with a 3 card and get domination country count wise in Asia. To be clear, he actually has enough countries to dominate, except it's the shuttle diplomacy thing. So that's a little bit of damage control. He is going to space Ussuri River skirmish. So yeah, clearly after his grab in Asia, he doesn't want to give us 4 guys there. So that is a good space attempt for him. I'm going to go ahead and get my space shot done. Destalinization does not go, but it is at least gone. Oh, here comes the brush war. The brush war, and now it's certainly going to be in Panama. Here it comes. Oh, and we survive narrowly. So, I'd rather be lucky than good. But we certainly knew that kind of thing was coming, and I had to choose between protecting Asia, where he was playing actively, and, putting one more point into Costa Rica. So I'm going to do the following. I'm going to use the nuclear subs card. I'm going to take a coup in Haiti, and first of all, it gets me on military ops, which it's good to get that out of the way. Second of all, it sets up a little potential combo with Junta, which, he certainly may be surprised to find, reshuffled straight around into our hand, in that I can then play the Junta and put the 2 points into Nicaragua and then do a double realign at +2 on Fidel Castro's communist regime, and perhaps eliminate it. So it's minor little combo, but it's something to try. And I don't think he'll really coupping Haiti doesn't look too suspicious. If we now couped Nicaragua, he would certainly come back over the top at us. But all right, so he is overprotecting his important places. That's fine. So let us unleash the realignment combo here. So 2 points going into Nicaragua with it's a junta in Nicaragua, the Somoza regime perhaps. And here goes a double realignment, a +2. Oh, and we nuke him on the very first one. So I think the next thing for me to do is to, I guess, realign him out of here so he doesn't even touch Cuba. And he's gone from there too. Well, that was a very, very powerful junta, a very successful one. And here comes fittingly, Che Guevara has something to say about that, as apparently does our opponent. Okay, so he is coupping back into Nicaragua and Cameroon. All right. And I didn't see that coming. Okay, well, good. I managed to pull out a little combo there, a minor combo, but at least something. Something indeed. All right, so let's coup him back out of here with the little summit card and roll a 1. Okay, well, he can just come pouring back in if he wants to. But he's going to give us a little special relationship. We will pollute France for whatever that's worth. And he's actually going to over-control France. Interesting. So he is still, keeping his France all tight, over protecting Mexico instead of leaking back into Cuba. It's interesting. I'm surprised he didn't go back into Cuba, but he didn't. Has other priorities. Portuguese Empire, we need to just mitigate this, I'm afraid. No big fun. And he is giving us the OAS, and I guess I'll just reestablish my threat to Cuba if he goes in it. And so he is going to reestablish his ownership of Nicaragua. Fair enough. So that brings us to our final action round, and we've got 2 cards left, both of which are often great events on the American last action round. Now, Salt negotiations would let us pull a card out of the discard pile and drop the DEFCON to 4, which would actually cost us a victory point on ops. But sometimes that's really useful if the card is good, or like if he didn't have Spain and Algeria, and we would be able to suddenly headline the ABM treaty and realign France into cinders during headline phase, something that kind of thing. But this doesn't appear to be a good moment for salt negotiations. On the other hand, bear traps. If we play bear trap for the event now, it's almost like kind of a free headline of it for next turn, other than he knows it's coming. So he'll have to skip his first action round next time, and then we can still headline something, and hey, maybe we'll get, I could just imagine getting colonial rear guards and popping popping Thailand back at him. Wouldn't that be something? Ha ha, I can only dream. But it does seem like we don't really desperately need ops somewhere. I realize Cuba's sitting there flopping open, but we're about to go into late war. And if I have guys in Cuba in late war, then I have a serious risk of the Daniel Ortega card becoming a DEFCON suicide card for me, and I wouldn't be able to space Daniel Ortega because it's a 2 card, and I can only space 3 cards, and I've had a couple of runs at the Eagle Has Landed box, and I haven't gotten there yet, and so I don't know if I'm going to get there, and so anyway, blah blah blah. It just doesn't seem quite right to just speculatively go into Cuba. So I'm going to go ahead and play the Bear Trap as the event and lock him out of his first round in turn 8. And so we will see what happens. All right, so we go to turn 8. DEFCON goes back to 3. And we look at our cards. Now, he's going to be headlining South African Unrest, which is going to kind of bollocks up some of our lower Africa, but not in a dramatically horrible way. So we have still got SALT negotiations in case something awesome happens. North Sea oil. This doesn't really look like the kind of turn where we need 8 action rounds if we really get all needing to nullify an OPEC, but it does, even OPEC doesn't look like a huge threat, does it? Like right now it's 1 point for him. Soviet shoot down, KAL 007. That is the definite one true headline for us because it gives us 2 points. It does move the DEFCON to 2, ironically, in a turn where we wouldn't have minded taking a coup ourselves, but it's still the 2 points and 4 beautiful, beautiful ops that we can do during headline phase, and then he has to discard to his thing, so we're going to get, it's kind of like 2 action rounds in a row, isn't it? So we like that. We like that a lot. So Iran-Contra scandal, well, that ruins our realignment rolls, all of them, including the defensive ones for the rest of the turn. So we are going to, that is the classic American play on the very last round late war card. So as with Brezhnev, you just play it at the very end, and then it essentially has no effect. Comic-Con, we're going to let him spray some guys in Eastern Europe and take it for ops. Olympic Games ops. Socialist governments will be this turn's space shot. And then there's the Central America scoring card. And I'm thinking we need to try to score that. So now that I have a definite knowledge that Central America is going to score an extra time and it's going to do it now, and I don't hold the Daniel Ortega card, I'm now willing to take the chance of going ahead and, risking getting Daniel Ortega. I mean, I do have some cards to mitigate it with, right? I mean, Salt, I could drop the DEFCON and then excrete it out. I'm holding the China card so I can hold things even if I get more bad cards. If I got also Lone Gunman or something like that, I could, eke through a turn or so. So the risk is diminishing as the game approaches turn 10. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. So here we go. Soviets shoot down an airplane they wish they had not shot down. And we get the 2 points. And here we go with influence. So I am going to prospectively just clean up the mess he's about to make with 2 of these influence. So that's good. I'm going to put 1 point into Costa Rica now. I'm not going into Cuba yet because I don't want to reveal the I want it to look like I'm just trying to prospectively tie him on countries if he goes into Cuba. And so I'm just going to pop the last point into Saudi just to kind of stay a little bit under the radar on that. So he plays these. We discouraged him from going into Angola sufficiently that he went into Botswana. Fair enough, and I am sad to say that he managed to managed to successfully end the bear trap with airmen and Tehran. It's interesting, so he thought that he was the most worried about us culling out, presumably, last turn, he did not want us to cull out all the good scoring cards for him if we, and you can imagine it's a dice roll because we could have gotten nothing useful with that. But it's very interesting that he, the cards he chose to go ahead and endure. Good insight. So here comes Comic-Con, kind of a free influence play. He's going to get his things. I'm going to go ahead and claim Cuba. And if he wants to try to coup back, fortunately, Haiti's coup was so successful before that, it's not really easy for him to coup it back. Oh, and he has to dispense with the Middle East scoring. Look at that. Extra domination for us in the Middle East. I will not look a gift horse in the face. Now, that did undid our shuttle diplomacy to no good effect because we actually already dominated it, although it probably explains why he didn't bother to try to contest domination. But we would have dominated it just for one fewer point, even if he had not done that. But I will certainly not look a gift horse in the mouth. Go ahead and take our mighty 2 points for Central America, but that's better than him getting points and is definitely something. Okay, and he has Asia scoring. So he now gets to dominate it. Yeah, and it would have been hard for us to honestly do a whole lot about it because we never managed to get touching Pakistan, and we just didn't get any of the cards that would have let us poke a poker into Thailand. If he had failed his first bear trap roll, then I was going to break Thailand and crush it the following round with the thing. But that did not turn out to be the thing that we got to do. So, too bad. And if, that turns out in the end was my game-losing mistake, then it just was. So, I need a coup, and Uruguay looks as good as anything. He might as well not touch Brazil. What do you think? That's what I think. Oh my gosh, he had a third scoring. Well, he had a hard his dream of not having us call his scoring cards does mean he had to hold a lot of scoring cards. He probably wasn't exactly hoping for precisely that set and quantity of scoring cards. Could he possibly have another? At this point, I sort of hope not, because it would be Europe or Africa at an awkward time. So let us think about what to do next. All right, so we need a space shot, and socialist governments looks like a good opportunity. And we're finally in. The Eagle has landed. And so we will be able to discard a card at the end of the turn. Not that we're going to need to this turn, but it's never bad to have that option. All right, Pershing 2 deployed as an event. All right, so yes, he's taking his victory point and making an aggressive play at Europe now that that's one of the next things to score, and looks like it's going to score to his benefit if the card comes up. So I need to fill all those things back in with the Cuban Missile Crisis, even though Cuban Missile Crisis is, you could say is one of my potential save to next turn cards now that he wouldn't be able to turn it off. I chose to keep Salt Negotiations instead, so that's a choice worth discussing in comments, but that's where I decided to go with it. All right, we are going to now take his domination away and build our Middle East domination. Dang, he got the arms race and he had one more ops than us, so he gets those points. No good for us. And with our Iran-Contra, I'm just going to go ahead and, make an end-of-turn play into Thailand, so he has to worry about me taking Thailand back. Even though, at this point, I'm kind of 50-50 between, you look at the scoreboard, and it's like, well, maybe I should be trying to keep his hand size down and try for the Hail Mary DEFCON play. I hope he gets some grain sales and can't do anything about it and whatever and has to start nuclear war. Or do I try to actually eke this out and somehow win it on points? And the thing is, I'm so close to almost having this be viable. He definitely has the upper hand here, but this is so almost like it's working out. So we're doing that, and we're not discarding a card at the end of the turn, even though we can now, because the card we have is actually a good one. DEFCON goes to 3, and we go to turn 9. So, let's look at his headline. He is going to be doing the lone gunman. Okay, so he's going to peek at all of our little peekers. But meanwhile, we have these cards. These. So, it's your homework, your final homework, your final exam, as it were, for the Ziemowit game. And tell me what your plan is. How do you plan to get through late war? How do you plan to survive until final scoring? And do you think we can pull it off? Is it a card attacks on his hand size kind of a game, or is it a try to mush out enough victory points to make a communist stew? So I'm going to play you out with the late warist Russian anthem I could think, which is to say the modern Russian national anthem, representing our hopes and dreams for the Russian people in this game, which is to say freedom. And we'll see you next time on Twilight Struggle. Play the experts.